Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to the FloTrack podcast. I'm Kevin Sully, joined by Gordon Mack, special conference championship edition of the podcast. Also special Halloween edition. Gordon and I are both in costume if you're not watching this live. Gordon, you want to explain your costume for those people who are not tuned in right now and want to get the full experience of the pod?
Well, first of all, I don't think we need to start with me. We should start with you, man. What Ninja Turtle are you?
I am Michelangelo, otherwise known
Okay.
as the Orange Turtle. My family is going to be, as a collective, the Ninja Turtles. So there's 5 of us.
Okay.
So we got the 4 turtles. My 6-month-old will be Master Splinter. We got a little robe,
Nice.
like a little mouse robe. So we don't have to paint his face or anything like that. He just has this mouse robe / rat robe. And if you notice in the show, if you go back and watch, Splinter was always in a robe, so it sort of fits. So we'll bundle him up. He'll be there. We got the shells. We're 2 shells short, so we had to do an additional order. We got all the appropriate weaponry. I don't think this mask is going to make it through the show, to be honest with you, Gordon. It's kind of riding up, and if we have to start reading results, it's going to be tough. But I got my shirt on. And got a shell back over there too. So I never do Halloween. I decided last Halloween, made a promise to myself. Not only was I going to do it, I want to try to theme it with my family. So it's one thing that I followed through on this year, and I'm proud of myself.
And you get to do Halloween with me, man. That's the real win. You get to do a spooky podcast with me.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes, exactly.
So,
why don't you talk while I take off this mask? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a honeycomb cookie for those who are big Squid Game fans. I'm not if you can be a fan of a show, but if you saw Squid Game, I am the cookie in game number 2. It's in episode 3. I wore this costume out Wednesday at a bar, and everyone didn't know who I was because they only watched like the first episode of Squid Game. Oh my gosh. Look at Travis already photoshopping me into Squid Game.
That's good work, Travis.
Anyway,
that's fast.
So I got the honeycomb cookie. I'm the umbrella. The main character is trying to cut out with his pin, which I made life size here for my face. And I'm wearing a silver jumpsuit because that's the tin. So
Why
it was a fun artsy project.
The umbrella?
Oh, because that's like the hard one. So basically, the game is they have a honeycomb cookie, and you gotta cut it out with a pin, but it's really thick and it can easily crack. And if you accidentally crack off like the shape not perfectly, you lose and they kill you. Spoiler alert, they kill you, a lot of people. So yeah, it's fun. I got my little giant pin, aluminum foil, and I got my face. I look like a sundial, like a there's like those suns, like the sun, not sun. Is it the Sunkiss logo? I'm not sure. There's like a famous, like the raisin logo. I'm not sure what I'm talking about. With like a golden face. Okay, I'm a cookie. So
I got an idea how to take it to the next level. Okay. You have JoJo follow you around the whole night with a blowtorch.
Why a blowtorch?
Because the lighter. They use the lighter, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Oh, did you watch the show?
That thing. Yeah, I watched it a couple weeks ago. I just haven't told you because it was bothering you. So I wanted to keep it going.
Yeah, you said you would. So what'd you think? You like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good show. But I think you need to up. Someone could come up. Someone, if they find out they're really in tune with the show, find out your costume, they could be like trying to light you on fire. I want to warn you. Your costume is not without peril.
Or they could try to lick me. That's the real winner. They could try to lick me. So.
Or the real loser. So be careful either way. I think there's danger afoot, Gordon. All right. Should we go to the show?
So we already got comments. Someone thought I was the high priestess from Guardians of the Galaxy. W2F, what is Gordon wearing? Is Gordon dressed as Dalgana? I don't even know what Dalgana is. Is that a character? I don't know. Yeah, I'm the Squid Game. Google.
Yeah. No, that's it. No, you're right. That Dalgana is the candy. So that's
the type of candy. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. I'm Dalgana. So I thought that was like an anime character or something. I don't know. Anyway, didn't even know we're here to talk about running, right? That's the whole idea of this podcast, right?
I'm here to be a hero in a half shell, and I've already accomplished that. But conference championships, NCAAs, What's today? We're going to be heavy on distance, heavy on the NCAA scene. Next week, obviously, we'll dive back into our normal international flavor and touch on some New York City stuff and some track stuff, some track news. But I'll let you kick it off, Gordon. Which conference do you want to begin with?
So I think we should go alphabetical order of like the main conferences that went down today, and we'll start with ACC. It's A, top of the alphabet. ACC. It was the one race I was actually most interested in seeing what the results would be, because would we or wouldn't we see a full Notre Dame squad? And we did. We saw
Mhm.
the squad we thought we would see all year long finally lace it up. They ran, and they ran extremely well. They had a very good spread. Their spread was only 33 seconds. They won easily. Now, the second best team in the ACC isn't a barn beater. Like, you could argue the second best ACC team is probably going to finish like at best like 15th. So they
Mhm.
should dominate the teams, which they did. 32 points to Syracuse's 84, Wake Forest 104. But I was just impressed by the tight pack, 33 seconds. Yair Nuguse looked good being in the top five. And, it's okay that they weren't going to sweep this meet, because when Adrian Wildershut's in this race, he's a NCAA individual title contender. You got to let him have his win. And they were able to pack up pretty well. 33-second spread. I looked up how they did at ACCs last year to see, were they this dominant last year, less or more? And they are kind of very
Mhm.
similar type of spread. So the team that ran at last year's ACC championships is running very similar to the team that ran at this year's. And we know what happened last year. They scored like 60 some points. So I think this basically officially takes away the question mark on Notre Dame. I think we now know who they are. They are who we thought they would be at preseason. They are one of the top contenders to dethrone NAU. That's what I took from it.
I like that you've talked about Notre Dame all year. You've critiqued them. Now you're praising them. But the praise comes when you're addressed as a cookie. And I just appreciate that that is how this information is going to be communicated to the rest of the cross country world. There's going to be clips, in a couple of days, once Halloween passes, too, circulating you on Twitter saying that you believe in Notre Dame and they're a threat for NAU and you're a cookie. So,
This should be in their
Nagoose,
hype video. Should be in their like, you never believed in us video on the
yeah,
Stephen A. Smith with
exactly.
my cookie face. Yeah.
Here, look at Gordon Mack here, and with gold paint all over his face. What was it? Just a matter of just getting all the pieces there, or did someone in particular impress you?
Um. No, I think everyone was just like, Jacobs ran like Jacobs should. Naguse was there. Like Jacobs, Killeray, and Naguse were together. That's really good, putting those three guys in the top five.
Mhm.
Carmo- Carmody, who wasn't part of their top seven last year, but ran well. Joe Piani slid in very well here as one of the top five runners. So that shows that they have the depth, that they have a new face into their top six, top seven, who can kind of be fresh blood for going into nationals, because Carmody wasn't a part of that second place team. So having him there, Methner ran well. There were a few guys who ran well at NCAAs who didn't run well here at ACCs, but that's okay. They had six. They added a seventh with Carmody. So it's going to be okay if not all seven of them perform day in and day out.
Yeah.
But they have at least five, probably six. So they're looking good.
All right. Should we jump over to the women's side?
Yeah, let's do it.
Women's ACC championship. NC State gets it done, led by Kelsey Camille and Caitlin Tui going 1-2 in this race. But the depth was there as well. Steelman 4, Hayes 5, Bush 8. So just a complete dominant performance, top to bottom here for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, seeing the big thing here is we knew what NC State is. Seeing Steelman run in their top four, um, she it's not like she was right there with Tui and Camille, but still within the top five, right there with Vestry a few seconds back of her. Beat someone like Bryn Brown, beat Nicole Vegans. So Steelman clearly is fit and healthy enough to be able to perform within the top 5. And when you had her stick to like their performance at Nuttycombe, they win that meet running away. So NC State, they're the favorites. They throw in Steelman. There's that question mark is now gone. Dominic Claremont is someone that we thought might be an X factor for them. Didn't run well here. So it's not like they have her to kind of, they don't have an also wild card on her, but it's okay. They got enough. They got a solid group of 5. They got a good interchangeable 6 and 7. So they are going to be the favorites going. I mean, they're going to be the favorites because it's kind of hard to like do anything different at conferences to really change someone's mind. But however, there was a performance on the women's side, which we'll get to later, that may convince me to change my mind on NC State, but I don't know yet. Maybe I'll figure this out in the next 20 minutes, 15, 20, 30 minutes, and I'll decide if I really think NC State's still the favorite. But they did what they
Does
need to do.
does the gap concern you at all from 5 to 6?
No. What was their gap? Looking at the result.
Well, it was. I
No,
mean,
it
it was
was
9
like,
places. It was 15 seconds about, but it was 9 places.
no, that's nothing. That's fine.
Okay.
I mean, not everyone's going to have like 3 number 5s, and it's okay. But, I think it's fine. No, I'm not worried.
Mhm.
Maybe I will be worried when we talk about the X factor that just kind of just kind of was thrown into our face at another meet. But I'm not too worried. They still have 3 women who all, in any given day, can finish top 10. If you're putting 3 in the top 10, you're going to win
Yeah.
the freaking meet. You got to. Like, I'm sorry. But if you're doing that, you're going to win the meet.
So ACC title contender now with NC State and the women, and then Notre Dame for the men. Big takeaway from that meet there. They're going to have 2 title contenders. Anything farther down the list, or do you want to, in terms of placings that jumped out at you, or do you want to move on to the next conference?
Nothing really consequential. We can maybe I'll highlight at the end of the pod like a non-title contending team that kind of surprised me. They kind of like, hey, you went from like
Mhm.
a 25 team to maybe a top 10 or something like that. So
Yeah, I mean,
let's go on to the next one.
I think. Well, I'll just say, North Carolina continues to impress with their young group here. One
Yeah.
senior in that first 5, and the rest are freshmen. Pretty impressive. But we move on alphabetically. Where do we go next? That was
So here's the
A.
question. So there's 2B conferences. You have the Big 12 and you have the Big 10.
Mm,
What alphabetically is first in that? Is it Big 10 with the T, and then that comes after Big 12 with the 1, or that comes before? Wait, does the numbers come before letters? I don't know how that works. And even if it does
uh,
work, is it Big 10 1-0, or is it Big 10 with a T? Because if it's
well,
1-0, then it'll go Big 10, Big 12. But if it's with a T, maybe it's Big 10, maybe it's Big 12, Big 10. I don't know.
yeah, you made something confusing even more confusing there. Let's go with the Big Ten first,
Let's do it.
TEN,
Boom.
as opposed to TWE for the Big 12. So Big Ten, Wisconsin men get the victory, another title for the Badgers. Bob Liking and Olin Hacker go 1-2, and Wisconsin really packed it in the top 10. They went 7, 8, 9, and 10. Gordon to get the easy victory. Another one for Mick Byrne, the Badgers.
Couple things. First of all, Bob Liking slowly
Still
becoming
love the name.
a top 10 name in NCAA right now. Like I'm liking the Bob Liking name. Like let's just be honest. That's a great name. Bob Liking. Okay. Got that out of the way. Second, his win is over a bunch of very impressive runners.
Yeah,
Obviously, you have
it's
his
a good group.
teammate Olin Hacker, but Morgan Beetlescombe, it's like a 13-20 guy. Alec
Mhm.
Baston, he's quick. Jonathan Davis, he's good. He's like a 750 3K guy. So winning this race is like pretty impressive. And I think Bob Liking might be like a top 10 individual. Maybe I'm not willing to put him in the Mance, Kiptoo's, Nico Young world, but
Yeah.
like he's only a freshman. I think Bob Liking is going to be a name we're going to be saying very often in the next 3 to 4 years because winning this race is over some good guys. And that team, 27 points, a lot of younger guys on that team, and some of their better
Mhm.
guys too. Also, like someone like Charlie, is it Charlie Wheeler, or there's a Charlie in the Wisconsin team? I forget his last name. Can you click on the Wisconsin name, Travis? Yeah. Oh yeah, Charlie Wheeler. He's like he's like a 13:40 5K runner, and he was like last on their team. So they have the
Hmm.
depth. Jackson Sharp is good. Uh, she Uwab Alijabali.
Schwabe,
Did I get that one right?
Schwabe.
Shoaib Alijabali. He ran well at like USATF juniors. So Evan Bishop, freshman. Rowan Ellenberg, freshman. So they're going to be good. Wisconsin's back. I think they're going to finish top 10 this year, and then next 2 years they're going to be start being a podium team, and then potentially maybe in 2023-4 they're looking to win.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean they've always done really well at this meet. If you look at historically how many Big Ten titles they have, it's a preposterously high number. But having the even though their team wasn't in contention over the past several years, they still had superstars in McDonald and Oliver Hoare, which probably
Yeah.
helped with recruiting, and just the program is always in the news. And on the women's side too, having Alicia Monson out there just gave a recognizable face to people, and I'm sure that was a magnet for top recruits to want to come to Madison. How about on the women's side of things, Gordon? What was the big takeaway for the women at the Big Ten meet?
Big takeaway from the women's side was high scoring, right? Because there's basically no true number one team. I feel like they're kind of just a hodgepodge of Michigan, Minnesota, Michigan State, and Wisconsin. Um, you just look at the top 25 list and you don't see really a dominant team here or there. And Megan Haas got the win. Bethany Haas, her twin sister, I think won this race a few years ago. So both sisters now have a win. Um, there's some good runners in here, right? Vanderland is good. Magnus is good. Um, they, but I think on the women's side, just the Big Ten's kind of a little bit down. We did have the surprise Michigan State do what they did last year. No one saw that
Yeah.
coming. But I think it is what it was. It was a surprise, and I would be surprised if one of these teams finds a way to podium. Minnesota is the best of the group, and Minnesota likely will finish, I think, in the 5 to 10 range.
Mhm.
But it's going to be very hard to crack the podium after what we saw from some of the top teams. But we could see just, a hodgepodge of Big Ten schools in like the 7 to 25 range, with Minnesota kind of leading the charge.
Mhm. Megan Haas getting it done there by a second.
One note, Michigan women, their finish here, they're going to need some help in their regional because they're not going to have a lot of points.
Mhm.
So, because they chose not to run at Nuttycombe or Prenats, and now they have no wins over the Minnesotas, Wisconsins, Michigan States of this world. Um, their win over Indiana and Illinois, that helps a bit, but you got to think Michigan was kind of hoping, because they were in there to get at least second here, to get a
Yeah.
couple decent Big Ten wins. But so Michigan's
Well,
going to be a bubble team to watch at NCAA's regionals.
they're on the wrong side of this group, so they get fourth, and they beat fifth by 70 points. But Michigan State is third, 3 points ahead of them. Wisconsin is second, 7 points ahead of them, and Minnesota wins the thing, 13 points ahead of
Yeah.
them. So they were very close to picking up a bunch of key wins and actually contending for the title here. But instead, they finished back there in fourth in that big gulf between themselves and Indiana. Have to sweat it out. Have to sweat it out if you are the Wolverines. How about we go to the Big 12 now, Gordon? The Big 12 um, had a good Iowa State, Oklahoma State battle there.
Yeah, this was like a dual meet on both the men's and women's side, and it was a very close dual meet, like throughout every split. So let's start the women. It was basically Iowa State, Oklahoma State neck and neck throughout. First, talk individually. Celia McCabe, she ran well after winning Nuttycombe. Goes here, wins Big 12s, kind of doubling down on her establishment in the NCAA as being like, hey, I may be a new face, I may be a new name, but I'm finishing top 10 at NCAAs. Sorry, like I'm now here, and so I think McCabe's going to probably finish at least probably. I wouldn't be surprised if she's top 5 now. I mean, she's just her wins are just growing. But you look again at this score on the put up on the screen: Oklahoma State 35, Iowa State 36. You can't get any closer than that. Um, they were. It's like a dual meet, right? It was just Iowa
Hmm.
State, then Oklahoma State, then Oklahoma State, then Iowa State, then
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, then Iowa State. It's back and forth. Um, so I I was talking to Dave Smith, Oklahoma State head coach, about this women's team. He knows that there's a big four right now on the women's side with New Mexico, Colorado, BYU, and NC State. But
Hmm.
I think he said basically if one of those four teams falters, now maybe not NC State because if they falter, they'll probably still finish fourth. But if one of those teams falters and has a bad day, he thinks their team is in position to kind of steal that fourth place spot. Kind of similar how Michigan State stole a podium spot, right? Teams faltered and Michigan State was just like there and boom, they got it. So Oklahoma State women are going to be that team to maybe potentially steal a podium spot. Back it up with a good win over Iowa State. Iowa State's a good team. They had
Hmm.
some good transfers come in. I had Iowa State as a top 20 team.
Hmm.
But Oklahoma State had ranked 11th going into this meet, so they're probably going to stay established in that top 10 range. Um, so yeah, that was that on the women's side. It was Oklahoma State, Iowa State. Both those teams pretty good. They should both make the NCAA championship meet. On the men's side, now this was
Hmm.
crazy. So apparently it was very windy out there, according to Johanna Gretchel, who was actually at the meet. I think she's
Hmm.
sitting in an airport watching this podcast as we do this because she was in Stillwater coming home tonight. But it was a battle between Kip 2 and Rodriguez. Kip 2, Rodriguez kind of were together in the first 2 or 3K, but then Kip 2 was like, I'm going. Rodriguez, I'm not sure if he's let him go or not, but he let him go and kind of stayed back and kind of focused on winning the team battle. In the
Hmm.
end, it was worth it to not go with Kip too crazy and then falter and be a fifth place finisher when he should be at least at worst second. But they packed up well, and they packed up well against a good Iowa State team. Iowa State, they won Nuttycombe. Oklahoma State, they they ran very well. They went 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, and then they're 6 and 7 were 14 and 17. Iowa State also ran extremely well. They went 1, 5, 7, 8, 10. In fact, this was basically a try meet where because basically the entire
Yeah.
top 21 was all Texas and Iowa State and Oklahoma State. So Texas was there hanging out in the top 21 as well, but you didn't see any Kansas States, Kansas, Texas Techs out there. It was just there's a lot of gold and yellow, maroon, red, maroon. I don't know what color Iowa State is. Maroon. That's a maroon,
It's
right?
a maroon. I think it's a
It's a
maroon. I think
maroon.
that's fair. Yeah, first non Oklahoma, Texas, Iowa State. What 20th, 22nd? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's cool that there's this battle though between these two schools that have been evenly matched over the last couple of years, and you have the two individuals up there that make it fun, even though Kiptu is getting the better of Rodriguez.
yeah, and Oklahoma State, they did not run pre-nat or Nuttycombe. I did get a text from a Big 12 coach, not named Dave Smith. So from a non-Oklahoma State coach, and that coach said Oklahoma State's going to win. Is going to win NCAAs. I won't say who it was, but they saw what they did. That coach was very impressed with what Oklahoma State did against a good Iowa State team.
Hmm.
I mean, we had them ranked in our top 4, so we
Yeah.
already know they're going to be a podium contender. It's going to be hard to dethrone, I think, NAU, but more and more now you see they have the bodies that Shea
Yeah, they got some
Foster kind of
guys.
returned. They
Yeah.
they have they don't really have many holes. They don't look like
Hmm.
there's a cliff after 5, which is going to be important because they're going to need as many bullets as possible to go up against someone like NAU. Oklahoma State, we know they're going to have a good one stick, right? They're going to one stick's going to be top 5, top 10. The question is, will their 2-3 be finishing top 20 or their 2-3 be finishing top 30? And I think
Mhm.
that's going to be the difference. It doesn't seem big, like was that just 10 spots. But I think the way Oklahoma State will win this meet is they need their 2-3 to be in the top 20 and not in the top 30. Top 30 is still incredible, right? Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure they would be like, I ran well if I ran top 30. But they want to win the meet. They need their 2-3 to be in the top 20, and then their 4-5 to be top 40, right? Obviously, everyone needs their fit to basically be 40th in order to win this meet. And they got a lot of experience. Ryan Smeaton, I think he's like a 6th or 7th year senior. I'm not sure. Maybe he's a 7th year. I think he's a 7th year. He's got that BYU energy. Yeah, I think he's like a 7th year senior because of COVID and red shirt, 6th year, all that stuff.
He's got
Uh,
experience. He's got
he's got
experience,
the
that's for sure.
experience,
Yeah,
you
he's a
know.
good runner. And then you got the freshmen and sophomores in there too who have been running really well for them and have that good upside as well too. And then you have the transfer in Foster who's competed at a really high level. Yeah, there's a lot to like. There's a lot to like for Oklahoma State. I think they've been a bit. I don't want to use this say they've been under the radar because you've ranked them really high before too. But missing out on that big meet weekend probably maybe slipped them out of people's minds. At least some people.
To get a comment, I was actually thinking this. I was going to bring it up, but Zaloti Orzel talked about when BYU joins this conference in 2 years, it's going to be nuts, right?
Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be
Imagine
great.
this meet with BYU in the results. It's like,
Yeah.
it'll be insane.
And
You
then
have
track,
Connor
you get
Manson
Houston in
there.
there.
That'll be crazy. And track, obviously, you're going to have Houston. So,
It's
I
gonna
mean,
be really
take
good.
out Texas, right? But you add in BYU. BYU is definitely better than Texas at cross country. So, it would
Yeah,
be,
the distance gets way stronger. It'll be fun. Okay, so do we go Big Sky, Big East? If we're going alphabetical, I think we already went out of order. But what do you want to go to next with the bees?
with the bees.
Uh
We
oh,
can do we'll do a quick overview of
one of my
Big
swords
East.
fell. Sorry,
Your Donatello sword.
it's
Um, Big
not that
East
was a
is a
bow
kind of
staff.
it's
It's
Big East.
Leonardo's
I feel
sword.
like is a bit Big East. I feel like is a bit down this year. Um, and you can kind of tell by just seeing that there truly isn't like a dominant team. Georgetown, Villanova, Butler are all in the mix. Providence runs well, but I feel like this is kind of a down year for both on the men's and women's side. Um, Maggie Donahue wins on the women's side from Georgetown. Lydia Oliver gets second. Angelina Ellis gets third for Butler. But yeah, I thought the thing I took away from this, I thought Providence women would run better. They did not. I feel like they got third in this meet. What place did they
Fifth,
finish? They
fifth.
finished fifth. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Georgetown, Butler, Connecticut, Villanova, Providence on the women's side, and then the men it was Butler getting the dub ahead of
Yeah.
Georgetown and
Here
Villanova.
Georgetown is the best team, but their spread, the women's spread for Georgetown was a minute 47.
Yeah.
Now that could be because obviously they had a good individual up front, so that makes their spread bigger. But at the same time, you know, if your fifth is almost 2 minutes behind you, it's going to be hard to do well at the NCAA level. But
Hmm.
hey, you can do well at the Big East level. As you see, Georgetown won that race individually. Check out the full replay on FloTrack. Also, some highlights of it on our YouTube channel. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm really excited for Big East track because I feel like the milers will show up and then we see some good DMR action, which will be exciting. Butler men won. Simon Bedard ran well. Barry Keene was the second runner for Butler. They lost one of their top five guys. I forget his name, which would put Butler maybe more on the surprise potential podium team because
Hmm.
if you added their, I forget who the runner was. I should have looked up, but they are really good through four, right? You see, they went 1, 3, 5, 9, and then there's a drop off to 17. But if they had that guy, forget his name, he's international. They throw him in there, then they would have a really strong five and be able to compete with the best. But you know, we kind of have a little bit of parity here between Butler, Georgetown, and Villanova. Villanova more milers, right? They're a mile U, some DMR U. Villanova, you get the great track action
Hmm.
from them. But
Yep.
Butler, I think Butler comes out of this, I feel like, on top, and comes out of this like saying, "Hey, we may not be we may not be the best, but we're better than what you thought," which is a good thing, right? We may not be the best, but we're better than what you thought, and so that's. I think Butler can make the NCAA meet, maybe finish top 20.
All right, let's go Big Sky.
Big Sky. On the women's side, NAU women win over Weber State, uh, which is good for NAU. They get another quality win over a good Weber State team. Um, we talked about this on the NCAA cross country show. The mountain region is going to be insane. I think 8 women's teams are going to come out of that region.
Hmm.
So this is helpful for Northern Arizona to get a little bit of a extra tiebreaker point over Weber State because they're also in the mountain. But I think it doesn't really matter in the end. I think 8 women's teams are going to come out of this. Taryn O'Neill wins Big Sky individually. Um, Want to say uh, team name. I love the team. Weber State got a good 1-2 punch in team names.
Hmm.
Billy Hatch and Summer Allen. I really like Summer Allen. Good
Okay.
team. Good runner names. Men's. Okay. So Northern Arizona, they won. We're not going to have a crazy situation where what the team loses is tanking their conference meet. Write up a big 10-page op-ed on it. No. However,
You
Northern
have to do that.
Arizona did take a risk. They chose to sit their fifth, sixth, and seventh runners. So
Hmm.
basically, they knew they would have 4 good guys, and they were kind of like, all right, one of our guys from the B squad is going to be our 5th man. In this case, it was true freshman Merchant. Tristan Merchant. Maybe he's not a true freshman.
Hmm.
I think he's from Alaska. He turned out to be the 5th man, finishing 15th place. So the spread is kind of misleading because there's no Ryan Raft, there's no Theo Quacks, there's no Brody Hasty. But I think that's on purpose because I think Coach Smith is recognizing, hey, Raff and Theo Quacks both finished 150th at Nationals when it was called upon them to step up. Brody Hasty, I think he's been banged up because he wasn't even in the A squad for pre-nats. I think coach is like, all right, you 3, you are my prize jewels. I need to make sure one of you becomes a diamond in November. So I'm going to stash you away. I'm going to put you
Hmm.
in a little black box and I'm going to squeeze you to death until you become a diamond in November. So I think that's the strategy for NAU. But Drew Bosley winning over Nico Young. Bosley, we think of Abdi Hamanur and Nico as like the big 1-2 punch, but there could be a situation when I really do think those 3 are going to all be together and they're all going to finish top 7. I think they'll put 3 in the top 7. The question is, where would George Kush finish? And then obviously the potential 5, 6, 7 guys in Raff and Quacks.
Yeah. It's hard to get much out of this, but the only cause for concern I would have would be Kusha because he's 20 seconds back of Nur, and I would think that going as a miler, going from 8K to 10K would cause even more of a gap to form between him and everyone else. I mean, he's run well at the NCAA championships before, but really where he's shined is in those Big Ten conference championships. Like he won the one last year. He's finished in the top 3 before as well too. But his highest, I mean, he was 55th in 2018 at nationals. In 2019, he was 165th. Obviously, he wasn't in it last year, but going from 8 to 10
Well,
is
he was in it
tough.
last year.
And
He finished like 200th last year.
really, it's not for Nebraska.
Yeah. Maybe it
It's
was a
not
DNF.
even doesn't even show up
No, he
here on
ran.
his profile page. It says he won Big Tens and then it goes on to indoor season. So he's
No,
not even
keep
listed
going.
on it.
It's through indoor. Keep going past indoor. Keep looking at
Oh,
it,
that's
man.
right.
There
Oh,
it is.
yes. Yes, I got tricked. What was going on last year where there was indoor overlapping with cross country? What did I completely erase from my memory? Okay, 229. So wasn't a factor. So his highest place is in the 50s, right? So you could say his
Yeah.
best races have come in conference meets where it's 8K. So that would be a cause for concern for me. But it's tough to worry too much about them when they held out that many guys and still ran well.
Yeah. So yeah, NAU still the favorites in my opinion, but I do feel like NAU has more weaknesses than NC State on the women's side. That's
Okay.
my take right now.
Next up, let's go to the Pac 12. No, Mountain West.
Mountain West.
Mountain West,
So
Pac 12, SEC, West Coast.
and then
Four
that'll
more.
be it. Four more. We can do this. It's a great pod. People will enjoy looking at your T-shirt and my golden face.
Hey, let me show the
For
nunchuck. Let
those
me
who
show
want to
these again.
know, I got my Halloween makeup at Spirit Halloween, right? I'm trying
So
to
I got
take
these
advantage of
very
this.
sophisticated nunchucks. Just incredibly. I'm glad I paid so much money for these.
So if you want to do this
Perfect.
at home, I got the styrofoam at Hobby Lobby, and I just bought the gold paper. This is a Sharpie. This is aluminum foil. I got this jumpsuit at Home Depot, and that's it. Anyway, all right, let's talk about Mountain West. So men, I don't even want to kind of talk about the men. Men race was kind of a non-factor. I really just want to focus on this women's race. New Mexico did
Fair
something
enough.
incredible. They went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they perfect scored. They perfect scored with their eighth runner being Ava Cohen, who preseason we had projected as their number one runner.
Yeah.
Not only they perfect score with not even like a runner who's like, one you think would be at least one of their top seven. Their spread of their top five was 8 seconds. And I get it, like it's not like they're a perfect score. It's the Mountain West. It's not the Pac-12 or Big Ten. But like Utah State and Colorado State are good teams.
Yeah.
They're not top 10 teams. They're more like top 25-ish teams.
Mm-hmm.
And like so it makes sense they're going to score like 20 to 30 points, but perfect scoring with that deep of a pack, I don't know, man. It just, I know this is the thing. New Mexico is going to be, if they win, it will be an outlier win. And the reason why it's going to be an outlier win is you never have an NCAA champion team win with no number one stick, like a true number one stick that finishes in the top 5, top 10. I know you looked at the history of that. Has there ever been an NCAA championship team that won without a finisher in the top 10?
I went back and looked, going back from when they started the traditional field, right? So 2000, right? Where you had 31 teams, basically, just before the year 2000. The lowest placing number one runner, I need to update this, was eighth. No, excuse me, 10th in 1998. So I
10th.
looked from this is from 1998 all the way through 2018. So I need to update it for 19 and then 20, but we can probably do that right now. Um, Nobody's finished outside of the top 10, and that was the first year Villanova. And Villanova went 10, 11, 15, 18, 52. So if we look at,
And so, yeah. What were you going to say?
oh, I was just going to say, if you look at the recent results, right? 2019 was Arkansas. And of course, they had Izzo and Warner up there. And then last year was BYU. I'm just looking at the women's side. And how high up was their first finisher? Don't even remember. I know Orton went back, but I don't remember. Was Anna Camp way up there?
I think
No,
it was
Anna
Camp.
Camp was 9. So they had 9.
9.
Now that's scoring. I think that's scoring 9. So
Oh,
point
okay.
being, though, you basically you need a single digit first runner using now 23 years or 23 championships worth. You need a single digit first runner.
I've talked to Joe Franklin about this, head coach of New Mexico. He knows that is a factor, right? He knows his team is different from a typical championship caliber team. But he
Mhm.
also loves what he has, right? He has a plethora of bodies, and like they're all interchangeable. He's not counting on one person where if that person fails, it's all over. Like he can
Yeah.
have there's not a single like his number two runner can fail and it's gonna be fine because their number two runners are replaceable with their number three. You know,
Yeah.
typically people are like, "Oh, our number five runner needs to show up," or like what like, but for him, like five is interchangeable with six, three is interchangeable with four, one's interchangeable with two, seven, and six, all that. Um, and they had a spread of 8 seconds. They dominated the win. They're looking good. We know that's the thing. So here's the thing about New Mexico. NC State, you talked about there was a little bit of a drop off between 5 and 6. Uh,
Mhm.
BYU kind of also has a little bit of a drop off between 5 and 6. New Mexico has like no drop off, right? They're the same. He's like a body of three as their fifth runner. So that's the thing where if chaos happens and New Mexico is just chilling, packing up, running all in the 15 to 35 range,
Yeah.
and it's like it just happens to be a weird year, New Mexico can win. And so
I s-
this was like the biggest surprising result is seeing them just perfect score meet. That's never happened before. I think I lost Kevin.
but
Kevin's got to refresh. So anyway, I'm gonna
here.
text Kevin to refresh. So we'll go on to the next one. But yeah, New Mexico, like I said, they are they are a wild card team. And if you could come up with the word wild card any clearer, it is New Mexico.
Mhm.
Um, They had their number one runner at pre-nats, I think was Stephanie Parsons. She was the number 7 runner here. Their number one runner at preseason was the number 8 runner here. It's just wild. Anyway, welcome back, Kevin.
Gordon, I'm back.
Did
Okay,
you
so I cut out when you're talking about the ACC. So can you just start from there?
give us over? All right.
No.
Back in the day,
I looked it up. So BYU finished outside of the top 10, but Camp scored 9. And those are the scores that I'm talking about. So
yeah.
BYU continued the trend. So you could go now 23 seasons and the highest scoring first place runner is 10. I think they would need to have a massive day to do that. Now, if you're saying that they're a package deal, are they a 20s team or a 30s team? Because that makes all the difference in the world. Or 40s team.
Yeah. I think they're a 20s team. I think they're going to be like,
There you go.
it's right when you got off, I said they're going to be a 15 to 35.
So
I think.
also, you keep saying that they got a perfect score, but they did better than a perfect score because perfect score is 15 and 5. There needs to be another name in cross country when you put your whole squad 1 through 7 out there. And how do you think it's a weird position for Adva Cohen? She's like, "Hey, I got 11th in the race. Oh, what were you on your team? Oh, 8th.
I don't even
8th.
exist in the results.
8th. 8th. Yeah, exactly. My number did not count at all. I think they're in a good spot because this has not
I
just
think they're
been
in
a
a great
one-time
spot.
thing.
Yeah.
How do we how do we feel about them, in a I mean, they got a lot of freshmen though, but freshmen aren't the same as they used to be just because they've had a little bit more experience. I want to see it. I want to see the contrast here. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, the thing is here, we have them right now ranked fourth. The three teams that have ranked ahead of them, NC State, Colorado, and BYU, all three of those teams won their conference. NC State had a spread of 29 seconds. Colorado and BYU had a spread of 39 seconds. So they kind of gave us a hard. It's hard. It seems impossible to say that New Mexico shouldn't go up, but it also seems impossible to say why Colorado, BYU, and NC State should move down. Right?
Mhm.
I'll figure it out when we release the rankings on Monday. I think New Mexico might go up because, I mean, what do you want? What else do I want from them, right? I mean, a spread of 8 seconds, perfect score, top 7. It's like, come on. So anyway,
Right.
looks like JoJo from the airport, her flight was delayed. She commented on the YouTube channel, LOL.
Mm. I think JoJo can
So
give us more than an LOL. Yeah, I don't know. Something. Come on. It's
Do you
probably
think
about the costume.
should I try to keep this entire outfit on when I go pick her up from the airport at
Yes.
like 8
Yeah,
o'clock
that's
today?
mandatory. Yeah. Walk around in it until someone recognizes you. Not as Gordon, but as the cookie from Squid Game. That's what I think you should
Yeah.
do. And then the moment
Well,
you get a list of the
I'm hosting a party tomorrow, but I want to like also like go out to the bars and let everyone like see and like take a
yeah,
photo, and that's
I think they'll
that's all
want to do
fun.
that, Gordon. I think they
I
want to see
you
you.
know I feel like
Walk through the
we
terminal,
should
park your car
have.
in short-term parking, and then just start walking through the baggage claim so people can see you. It's a good place to be seen.
I feel like we
Not
should
enough people
have
hang out at the
four.
airport.
I feel like we should have 4 Halloweens a year. What do you
All
think?
right, let's keep moving. Yeah, that's great. Let's keep going. What's up? What's
Okay,
next?
let's do
We need
SEC.
Pac. Okay, SEC, Pac-12, and then West Coast.
Yeah, let's do SEC. Start the women's side. This is kind of we were waiting and seeing on Alabama. And I
Mm-hmm.
think this kind of crosses Alabama off the list of potential NCAA championship teams.
Hold on.
Alabama has the best four in the nation, right? Chelangat, AC Cole, um, tied in this. I shouldn't say these women's names because I'm really bad at it. But they have
Taisma,
really four really good Tanisma
Katahi.
and Katai.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good through four, but they just don't have a fifth runner. Their spread was 2 minutes, over 2 minutes. Jami Reed was a DNF. She would have been there 5, but she just like was with them through like 2 or 3K and then slowly just fell off till eventually DNF'd. And so Arkansas took advantage of Alabama's lack of a fifth runner. Arkansas won. Arkansas is a top 10 team, so it makes sense that a team that takes advantage of it. Ole Miss is a good team as well. They're also a top 10 team. But the story here is really Alabama women. They you this was the year that they have 4 women. When they added that JUCO transfer to Marcy Chilangat, to Esther Gatai, to you know, you thought like this is it, but they still have a fifth. Now maybe
So
Jamie
hold
Reed
on.
is going to come out of
Yeah.
nowhere and find a way to run out of her mind and finish 60th at nationals, and then they win the national championship. But I don't know. I'm just not betting on someone finding a way to get 60th at nationals because that's what they need. They need their fifth runner to be 60th at nationals, and they'll win the national championship.
Is she? I'm looking at her page. I don't see any other results from this year. So this was the first one,
Yeah, this was
her
the first
debut.
one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So I could see why you're not that confident that she could do it. So who? But who served the role as fifth runner in their previous meets? Where was that person?
I
She
mean,
been
it's still
doing
far back. I mean, the thing is, it's like Alabama was
not that
always
far
projected
back.
as a good. But Alabama
That far back.
wasn't winning meets. They were always projected as a good team because we knew when they run all 5 together, they're going to be like a scary team. And they have such a good top 4 that their fifth doesn't need to like NC State, Colorado, BYU, New Mexico. All of their fifth runners need to be like top 30, top 40. But for Alabama, their fifth runner needs to be only needs to be like top 60, maybe even top 70, and they could win because of how good their top 4 are. It's just a bummer. Yet, I mean, hey, maybe they could find a way to do international rules, and you only score through 4, and then
I don't
they'll
think
win the
that.
meet.
Mm.
But it's college rules. You score through 5. They don't have a fifth. Uh, if they can find a fifth in like 3 weeks, maybe they're going to do it. But I think that's all she wrote for Alabama. I mean, maybe they find a way to still get fourth, but their
Yeah,
championship odds just went down dramatically because they don't have a fifth.
I still believe. I still believe. You got Mercy Chelangat out there. Anything is possible. Wins by 9 seconds too. Dominant win. Dominant win for her. Should we go to the men's race? Arkansas gets the win there. 40-59 over Ole Miss.
Yeah, and I've I've said Arkansas is the team that can challenge NAU the most because of their track speed, and I was kind of surprised about the results of this race. You know, Jacob McLeod and not seeing there be their number 2 runner here. You know,
Mhm.
some of the other East African guys didn't run as well. Um, and I think I'm not sure what the conditions were like, but the the race became like a sprint at the end. Like the whole pack was together through the first like 5 or 6K. And then the final 1K, everyone was like, all right, we're running now. So that might have messed with the placing. But if we bring up Arkansas's, click Travis, if you click
Mhm.
on Arkansas's roster there, um, Ed, Andrew Cabet, Emmanuel Chebason, and Gilbert Boyd, like that was their 2, 3, 4 at all the other meets behind Kemboy. And in this situation, they were the 4, 5, and 6. So
Mhm.
I guess it's a good sign for someone like Miles Richter and Jacob McLeod to say, hey, you had them in there. Now they're, you could say they're 6 deep. They're definitely 6 deep, but you would expected Chebason and Boyd and Quebec to run better than they did. However, their spread was still good, right? 20 some second spread, 21-second spread. Their fourth runner was 11th in the race. That's pretty damn good. Their fifth runner was right behind them. Um, I'm still buying some Arkansas stock. I think because I have a feeling. I have a feeling. However, I think I need to maybe split my stock shares and put a little more into Oklahoma State. So
Ah,
I think
hedging a bit.
I think I know it's either I think I know one of the three. It's I think I'm going to say it. The national championship team in November will be either Northern Arizona, Arkansas, or Oklahoma State. I've
You just
eliminated
said
BYU. I've eliminated Colorado. I've eliminated Notre Dame.
you just said
I
Notre
think it's
Dame
going
was
to be
back 30 minutes ago.
they are back. But like I got to make a prediction, and I think Notre Dame's okay with the prediction being they don't want some guy wearing a clown costume like I am picking them to win a national title. So if anything, it's a compliment. And I'm wrong a lot. So hey,
All right.
it's okay. I don't decide who wins. I just
You just
predict
said
and
you
get
had
it
no
right.
worries now about Notre Dame. And then
I don't. I
we
have
talk
no
about a couple
worries.
more conferences and then you're back. Well,
Hey,
that was implied that
me,
you thought that they were as good as they were at the beginning of the year, which was title contender.
yeah, I actually
Did you have number
preseason
two?
ranked them. Well, I preseason ranked Notre Dame 1. And then
Okay,
when they
well, then that
started
makes
like
even less
messing with the rank,
sense.
hey,
What
it's
you're
hard
doing
to
makes no
predict cross
sense.
country. No, it makes a lot of sense. I
Nobody asked you to predict right now. We're talking about
I'm
conference. You don't need to predict right now. You're bringing this on yourself.
I'm big on Arkansas. I'm big on Oklahoma State. I'm back on the Notre Dame train. I still believe NAU is the best team.
How are you
But
back
if I
on
had
the
to pick
train when you
what,
said they're not top four, man? You had them as national champions, don't have them in the top four, and you're like, I'm back. Wake up the echoes in South Bend.
I'm sticking Arkansas, Oklahoma State, or NAU are winning the national title. That doesn't mean Notre Dame can't get second. That statement allows Notre Dame to
So
get
you're down to
second.
three teams? You're down to three teams.
To win. I'm down to 3 teams to win. I'm down to like 8 teams to podium.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's keep moving. Pac 12. Go.
All right. Speaking of Pac-12 and a team that I eliminated on the men's side just recently, just now in the past moment, is Colorado men. Even though they ran extremely well at Pac-12s, 39 points against a good field. Like Stanford has some good guys in there. They're Hicks, Robinson, and Sprout are three studs. Obviously, Oregon has their two guys in Tier and Bedenfeld. But Colorado, man, they packed it up. Edward Herrera was in the top three. And then it's just a bunch of new names. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, have you ever heard
Yes.
Austin Vancil, Andrew Kent, or Brandon Fraser or Charlie Sweeney? Like, of those four, have you heard of any of them? I've heard of Charlie Sweeney. He's a D2 transfer. He ran well at D2. But Brandon Fraser, I'd never heard of. Austin Vancil, I might have seen once. Andrew Kent, maybe. But like, Wetmore is just taking new guys and turning them into legit D1 studs. And it's incredible, right? Like, the fact that you can look at Colorado's roster and look down and like, oh, I don't know. This seems like a down year for them. I don't recognize. Obviously, they have Herrera. He's good, but like,
Yeah.
do I believe in a guy named Austin Vancil or Andrew Kent? But then 2 months later, you're like, oh, that makes sense. They're being coached
Good.
by Mark Wetmore. They're going to go from nobodies to somebodies in 3 races. So I'm
What
impressed with what
about
Colorado's doing. Very
Hicks,
impressed.
man, though? Let's talk about the individual race, though, with Hicks
Okay.
beating Tier by 10 seconds. Hicks is solid. He
Yeah.
keeps
So I
giving us reasons to believe in him.
remember that one time I thought he was American.
It
Was that
happens all
Charles
the
Hicks?
time on this show.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Charles Hicks, he's a low key Olympic trials guy, and I was like, oh, he's not American. I'm really bad at that.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah. So here's a question: is this Hicks being a stud and being like taking it to what we would consider the best distance runner in the NCAA in Cooper Tier, or
Yeah.
is this Cooper Tier having a bad day?
This conference is pretty deep. So if you have a bad day, I think you're going to fall a little bit farther than that. I think it's a combination of the two things. I think Tier coming after his excellent track season is getting things going a little later, but Hicks has been consistent now. We keep bringing this guy. His name keeps coming up over and over and over again. I just like the way he closed. I thought it was really impressive. He went to he went to high school in the United States, so you get partial credit. It's not your worst call here. But it's like, look at Hicks's year. Like, he got second at FSU and third at Nuttycombe. So the only people he lost to Wildshut at FSU, and then at Nuttycombe, he lost to Kiptu and Tier. So he's avenged one of those losses. So the only person he hasn't beat out of these three meets has been Wildshut and Wesley Kiptu.
Yeah, I mean Hicks is going to finish top 7. I was going to say top 10, but now that he just beat Cooper Tier, I have to give more credit to it. So I said top 7.
Mhm.
Maybe it's one of those things where you just need Hicks to do it at the NCAA level for you to kind of buy in, right? That's how it normally works.
Yeah, it's got to happen at a yeah, bigger stage for sure. But I mean, Tier, I'm not counting Tier out by any stretch of imagination. It's
No.
just conference. We've seen so much change from conference to nationals. Not going to get not going to get too concerned about that. Women's side of things, Colorado rolls, Gordon, to a title. You said, "Hey, this might be something to watch here." Colorado, maybe they get upset. Did not happen.
So Colorado looks good here through 4, right? Only 25
Hmm.
second gap between the 4, but the you have a little bit of a bigger gap through 5.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. As I just said on the men's side, Mark Wetmore knows what he's doing. I am not going to let any number that I see or like thought that I see make me think a negative position on Colorado. Negative
Okay.
as in like I think another team is better than you. So even though I could argue, hey, their 5th is a little off, like that could be a weakness. No, they don't have a weakness. They're good. They're going to podium. They're part of that big 4 of New Mexico, Colorado, BYU, NC State, and they're just. I think it's just going to be fate that decides where they finish. They're not finishing any worse than 4th. And if you go into a national championship knowing a bad day is a podium, you're in good shape going into NCAAs. So very impressed.
Did you just say fate will decide?
I'm trying to.
What do
I
you have
don't
a
know.
what do you have a job for? Your job's to analyze this stuff, not tell people fate will decide.
Well, here's the
What are we
thing. On the men's side, I started giving you my analysis, and I told you my 3 teams I think are going to win, and then you went like, "What about Notre Dame?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I believe Notre
I
Dame's
just
good. I just, you know,
I just think it was funny. You just said, you know what? Fate's gonna decide this thing.
well,
Nothing
because,
else.
I was,
You're saying it's close enough, right? That it's gonna come. It's not them having huge deficiencies or them being overpowering. It's close enough to
yeah,
where some small thing is gonna have a huge impact. So what are we
yeah.
looking at? What are we looking at in terms of top four for the women then?
What do you mean?
We gave your 4 men's teams.
Well,
Do you
let's
wanna
do one
wait?
more conference. We'll do one more
Okay.
conference. This is the final conference, West Coast Conference.
West West Coast Conference, yep.
Let's go into it. West Coast Conference, save the best for last. That's what they all say. Is it the best for last? I don't know. It eventually this conference isn't going to be that good because BYU's leaving it. Um, but on the women's side, BYU did what they should do. They put 4 in the top 5. They put 5 in the top 8. They put 6 in the top 9. Very good. Good spread too, right? So between their top 4, it was only 16 seconds. Through the top 5, it was 30 some seconds. So there's a little concern there. But Whitney Orton looking good, taking the win. Remember, Orton didn't run at Nuttycombe,
Yeah.
so that changes how they looked. Anna Camp looking good. Anna Camp's this is a breakout performance for her. Even though she ran really well at NCAAs, her regular season, she hadn't had many good races. So this is like her first good regular season race. Like I think her season opener, she was like finishing like 20th and was like 8th on her team or something like that. I could be making that up, but she didn't run well. So this is good sign for Anna Camp being there in the top, being the number 2 runner for BYU. Um,
Yeah. The
so yeah,
only
nothing
way
much. Yeah.
the only way BYU win, like BYU needs Whitney Orton to run like Whitney Orton, and they
Yes.
need Anna Camp to run like Anna Camp can run, which for both of them, it's national championship contenders. Camp has a title. Orton has been close before and has been in the mix and has been favored for these titles. The rest of the roster seems pretty solid in that spot, but they need, and so much of our conversation around cross country just devolves into, well, do they have a 5 and can they find a 5? Rarely though do we put the onus on the 1 and 2, but in this case their 1 and 2 are so good, they haven't been that good this year for a variety of reasons. I mean, just not racing, or maybe they're racing into shape. It's the regular season cross country. It doesn't matter at all. But come national championship time, to win their path to victory, they need those two to be superstars.
Yeah. It's a weird question. It's weird. Their question is their number 1 because we know what she's capable. We know what Orton's capable of.
Yeah.
And they were able to survive Orton not being their number 1 because the rest of the team ran so well in 2020. But
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think if Orton runs as their number 3 runner, BYU's out. Like, no, they're not going to beat a Colorado or NC State or New Mexico. But if Orton and
BY,
Camp are like putting 2 in the top 7, they're going to cancel out Camille and Tui, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden we have a race, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. They also wore flats, which I don't know. I don't know if that factors in to your rankings at all too. But people noticed that Orton
yeah,
did across the finish line. I think their entire team wore the next percents Vaporflies there. So, men, do you want to do the
maybe.
men real quick?
Yeah, let's do the men. We have to. We're gonna not do the men. We're gonna be like gonna ignore. How many times? So Connor Mance is a junior, but he's now probably been like top 3 at West Coast Conference Championships 4 times as a junior, right? He's going for the 5-time
Mm-hmm.
All American, 5-time All
Yeah.
American. Connor Mance. That we're gonna eventually see that. Anyway, no, Connor Mance takes the easy win, kind of dominates over James Mawara. Klinger and Garnica, same story. We see the Mance, Klinger, Garnica, 1, 2, 3. Lucas
Mm-hmm.
Bonds, freshman, the miler. I mentioned him
Yep.
in the first episode of the NCAA cross country show. Now he's a member of their top 5. Pretty good. Same with Garrett Marsing, who's a steepler. He's now a member of their top 7. So I'd like to get a little credit for predicting Lucas Bonds and Garrett Marsing as being in the top 7 for BYU.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, BYU, it's good. But like you look at the screenshot here. Let's bring up the screenshot that we have on the screen right now. Cool. You only see 4 BYU logos there in that top 10. If BYU wants to win a national title, we need to see like 6 logos in that top 10 for a meet like this. That's what you need. You need
Yeah.
6 BYU logos.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's tough
that's
with
the
these
thing.
conference meets
Yeah.
because
I mean,
not all conferences are the same. Some conferences
true.
have great depth. Some of them have at least one key rival. We talked before about Ohio, Oklahoma State and Iowa State on the men's side, you can get a good gauge. It's tough in the West Coast Conference unless it's one of those years when Portland is really strong, but it's hard to tell both on the women's and men's side. Okay, so let's do this, Gordon. Let's do this as a segment. Travis will like this.
One last thing. One last thing before you do your segment.
Not too late.
I
Too
got
late.
no Portland. They may not make NCAAs because they needed to get a win over Gonzaga here. They didn't get it. So Portland is going to need to run out of their mind at the West Regional in order to qualify because they're not. They are a bubble 20, 30, 31, 32 team, which would be crazy because Portland, when you think of cross country, you think Portland, right? And to think Portland not making the meet, that's just wild. So, but I'm sure Rob Connor knows this, and I'm sure he's going to find a way to prove me wrong, and they'll make the meet. But keep an eye on Portland. Same thing with
All
Michigan,
right.
Michigan women and Portland men. Those are the two like powerhouses that we might not see at NCAAs.
Sweating bullets. Okay, give me your podium. Your podium. Your post Gordon's post conference podium for both men and women.
That's hard, man. I can't do. I have to actually put an order out there. I gotta like create an order.
No order. I want just a podium.
Well, no.
Give me
Oh, just so I
top
can
four
say four
men,
teams,
top four women. Yes.
and I don't have to say an order.
You don't.
Okay, that's easy. For women, New Mexico, NC State, BYU, and Colorado.
And for the men?
The the women's podium is the most like obvious podium that we've seen in a long time. Now, obviously, one
Mm.
of them might falter. New team can come in, but I've never been more confident in four teams as podium teams than I have on than this women's field. It's just so cut and dry. These are the four best teams, and then everyone else is hoping one of them falters. Couldn't be more cut and dry. On the men's side, different story. So I'll first give you my nominees for podium because I need to work my way through this because you're putting me on the spot. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not prepared. Okay, so I'm gonna work my way through it. You have the Notre Dame and NAU. Then you have the Arkansas and Oklahoma State. Then you have the Iowa State, BYU, Colorado, and Stanford. Those are my 8 teams. And then you have the sexy picks of Tulsa and Wisconsin, but I'm not ready to do that. So let's start with those 8: NAU, Arkansas, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, Stanford, BYU, Iowa State, and Colorado. Those are my 8. Gun to my head, I need to kill 2 of these teams off to get down to 6.
Don't.
I am killing off Stanford, and I'm killing off BYU. I know it's wild. So now I'm down to 6. I'm working my way through this. So we have NAU, Arkansas, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, and Colorado. Gun to my head, I need to kill one of them. I'm killing Iowa State. So now I'm down to 5 teams: NAU, Arkansas, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, and Colorado. Gun to my head, I need to remove one of them. And I think I'm going to remove Colorado. So that's my podium: Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, Arkansas, NAU. You pick the order, mix and match, have some fun. I feel really bad about killing Stanford, BYU, Iowa State, and Colorado, but someone had to do
Mm-hmm.
it, and I did it.
Mm-hmm.
Squid Game, there only can be one winner, right? That's how it works.
Well, there you
BYU
go.
wasn't able to cut out the umbrella the same way Arkansas and Notre Dame and Oklahoma State and NAU are. So, do you agree with me? Do you agree with those 4, or do you agree with my 4 of OK State, Notre Dame, Arkansas, and NAU? I know exactly what you're going to say. You're going to say I don't agree with Arkansas.
No, I agree with those 4. I agree with
Really?
both of
Oh.
your groups of 4. Yeah. Now I don't feel like they're locks like you are. Like you went when you're basically making a guarantee on both sides. I think that's a little strong. But
Well, I'm not making a guarantee on the men's side. I'm making a guarantee on the women's side.
no, I think you said these are going to be for sure the top 4 teams. That's what I heard. So Gordon's
No.
guarantees. You
I
got it.
said I said for
You heard it
sure
here.
either NAU, Arkansas, or Oklahoma State are going to win
Lock them up, Gordon said. Lock them
That
up, lock them down. Those four
no. I'm
in
saying for
town.
sure NAU, Arkansas, and Oklahoma State are going to win. One of them is going to win. The other two could
Yeah.
get fifth and sixth. I don't know. One of
Yeah.
them's going to win.
I think there's a big, like I could see Notre Dame winning, but I'm with you. I could also see Notre Dame in fifth in this
Yeah.
meet. The one I feel of that group, the one I feel the most confident of, hey, they're not going to drop out of the top three would be NAU, but that's just history speaking.
Yeah. Or some say fate speaking.
Yes. You know what? It's all just
It's all just fate. What are
up
we
to
doing
fate.
here
That's
anyway?
what it is. It's like sand through the hourglass, Gordon. That's all it is. Just a drop in the ocean. All right, we should stop. Gone over an hour. Colt's got to go. We got to go. Travis has to go. Gordon will be back next week on the FloTrack main channel with his NCAA XC show. So you'll have more analysis there. You can also, I put up another race breakdown there today. So you can go over to the FloTrack, main FloTrack YouTube channel later on or on the site. It's about Lieutenant Betgaday's 5,000 meter world record. Happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Friday. I'm Kevin. He's Gordon. This has been the FloTrack podcast. Thanks to Colt. Thanks to Travis. We'll see you on Monday. You should have kept the thing on, Gordon. It just loses its effect without the cookie.